Here's our code. Here's the code. Ready for the code? We got the code there in the chat box. Here's the code. Right, our highest purpose is no purpose. And I want to try and get this, and I want to try and get this in a few stages. Right? And it's only the pleasure of no purpose that gives us the power of purpose. Okay, so here we go. So an animal operates based on instinct. And instinct is not a purpose that the animal's chosen, right? It's a purpose that is available through cosmos. So the animal doesn't, to the best, right? The animal doesn't, right, in a kind of choose, let me decide to be an animal, or let me decide to go into a different profession. Can't do that, right? And the career options for an animal are more narrow. They're more limited. It's not that there is no choice for an animal. Animals do have a level of choice, absolutely. But there's an instinct. Animals have unmediated access to the larger purpose of cosmos moving through them. Okay, so I want to get that sentence. Let's get this sentence together. Animals have, because we're going to go like 6 steps. Animals have through instinct, unmediated access to the larger purpose of cosmos moving through them. Yes, there are continuities of consciousness between animals and human beings. There are continuities of consciousness, and there are discontinuities of consciousness, right? It's not that animals are more conscious or not conscious. That's incorrect. There are particular qualities of consciousness that animals have that we don't have. Bats, right? Dogs live in a world of smell, as Oliver Sacks points out when he opens his book about the Mad Hatter, right? And bats obviously have, right, sensory intelligence, and snakes, right, are operating with an infrared intelligence and consciousness. So there are dimensions and qualities of consciousness that animals have that are unavailable to us, number one. That's number one. Number two, there are continuities of consciousness between the human being and animal that the great tradition, some of them knew, right, actually knew this, but actually in the last 25 years of science, we've actually taken about 7 or 8 areas which we thought animals had no access to, ranging from tears, right, to grief, to culture, right, to levels of choice, right? There's a whole list of areas where it was very, we thought absolutely, this is human and this is animal. And now we realize in each one of those areas that actually animals participate far more dramatically. Okay, so that's a context for the conversation. But go deeper with me, all the way in, everybody, all the way in. Okay, so there used to be a sense of absolute discontinuity between animals and human beings. Then science has pointed out what some of the ancient traditions knew already. Some of the shamanic traditions knew. Hebrew wisdom knew. Hebrew wisdom talked a lot about the suffering of animals. The ancient traditions had a sense of this, in a very deep sense, right? But the rational Western world created this discontinuity between animals and human beings. And now we're reclaiming a deeper continuity. And in the last 25 years, in the last 10 years particularly, there's a plethora of studies, both on plant intelligence and animal intelligence, which are really important. And, stay with me, and there's, of course, still major discontinuities, obviously. Right? There's particular unique and gorgeous expressions of human consciousness, which we call Homo imago Dei, a particular human expression. Human beings build hospitals, right? That's a big deal, right? So let's be careful, right? Don't collapse the two, right? There's the third Big Bang, right? There's a momentous leap. There's a momentous leap from what's called the biosphere to the noosphere. To the full depth of self-reflective human consciousness is obviously a completely different world. It's not about better. It's about a different quality, right? It's a different depth of knowing. That's self-evidently true. Now let's go deep. Okay, so we got that framework. So now go deep with me. You ready to go deep? Who's ready? We ready now? Everybody ready? Who's in? Who's in? Let me feel. Who's in? Who's in? We just did actually have quite a sophisticated, right? We got that sense of discontinuity and continuity. Animals have different qualities of consciousness that are not available to human beings. Human beings have more evolved consciousness in many realms than animals, and there are continuities that human beings and animals participate in. right? Absolutely. All in? We all in. Okay, now. Instinct. With that, we'll go back to instinct. Okay, so instinct means that animals, right, in the world of discontinuity, we dismissed animals, right, by saying, oh, animals are just instinctual. That's a mistake. Instinct means that animals have, let me say it again, now we'll bring it back. And who wants to write the sentence if you got the sentence already? Instinct means that animals have direct unmediated access, okay, direct unmediated access, right, to a larger purpose of cosmos moving through them that they're not accessing through the classical rational mind, right? They're not accessing through the poetic mind. They're not accessing through the human mystical mind, right? They're getting this direct access. They just know it. It's there, okay? So that's one. That's a dimension of innate purpose, right? It's not purpose that emerges from reflection. It's innate purpose. Let's call that innate purpose. We got that? Who's got innate purpose? Who's got innate purpose? Okay. Now, innate purpose takes you very close to what I'm calling no purpose. So what's no purpose? No purpose is we're not together in order to instrumentally get to a next step, right? I'm not kissing you in order to win your fortune in the Texas oil fields, which your father owns. You get that? Right? You're not kissing me because, right, you want to marry me because I own 6 Tudor mansions, which you think are going to add to your status and ego. We're kissing for the sake of kissing, right? So touch, the realm of touch. Now stay really close now. Let's open our hearts, okay? Like all the way. Let's open our hearts all the way. Okay, in the realm of touch, when we touch each other, we seek to touch each other just because. And touch is not a human desire. Touch is continuous through cosmos. There's actually a proto-desire in particles to touch each other. And not to touch each other indiscriminately. Particles are not promiscuous. So let's grab that sentence. Particles are not promiscuous. Particles are particular. Particles are particular. And although his meaning got obfuscated for many people, and partially it was his fault, but when Alfred North Whitehead talks about the prehension that lives in the subatomic level, he's referring to what I would call proto-touch. And Ken Wilber and I have talked about this in many private calls that we did for many, many years on Monday afternoons, about this notion of proto-touch, this desire. Now, why do I want to touch? So I don't want to touch in order to accomplish something, although it does accomplish something, right? Touch generates pleasure and touch generates life. But I want to touch for its own sake. Does everyone get that? I want to touch for its own sake. And I want to get that word, for its own sake. For its own sake. And there's a word for that, right, in the lineage, right, in one of the great wisdom traditions. And it's called Lishma. Lishma. L-I-S-M, lishma means I'm doing it for its own sake. No purpose. No purpose, right? Why are we together in one communion? So on one level, it's for a purpose. We want to actually evolve the source code. We have to alleviate suffering, right? We are Da Vinci in this generation, right? You can feel the ecstatic urgency of it, right? And we talk about it all the time. But on another level, the reason we're here together is because we're one communion, because we want to touch each other, because we want to feel each other. We're here for no purpose, just because, right? It's not right now, right? Everyone, who can feel that? Who can feel that, right? Just because. Why are we together? Just because, right? What's our purpose? We don't have one, right? We're just here together because we love being here together, because we love feeling each other, because we love touching each other, because we love holding each other, right? Love is both purposeful. Love generates. Love is generative. Right? New sentence. Love is a generator function of reality. Right? Love generates new reality. Love is creative. Intimacy is creative. It's one of the tenets of intimacy. Intimacy is creative. And at the same time, love is no purpose. We love each other just because. We love each other because we want to love each other. And when we make love in order to make love, in order to create love. Right? Wow. We make love in order to make love. That's what we're doing. Love is self-justifying, right? Love is in some profound and gorgeous sense, love is fully self-validating. It's for its own sake. That's why we sometimes call love play. Love play. Sha'ashua in the original Hebrew is love play. And love play is for its own sake. It's no purpose. It's not pragmatic, right? It's beyond purpose. Can everyone feel that? It's like, and let's just kind of just find this in like this deepest place. So the animal gives me a model, and the animal that lives in me, because I include and transcend the animal. But when I include and transcend the animal, whenever we talk about embracing the animal, we're generally talking about the fierce passion and desire of a particular kind of sexuality. And there is, right? When he or she says he's an animal, she's an animal, right? So they're, wow, right? They're talking about, that can be, of course, a terrible insult, meaning they're pre-rational. He's an animal, he's pre-rational. Or she's an animal, he's an animal. They're filled with fire and living passion, right? There's two dimensions. Animal critique, discontinuity, pre-rational, right? Animal gorgeous, right? Fierce passion. But there's something deeper. It's even deeper than that. The animal holds this quality of touch, right? The animal holds the self-validating inherent beauty of touch. There's a beautiful movie on Netflix that Christina saw, and then we watched twice, and I send to my friend Sean, and he told me he watched it twice with his family, and a whole bunch of us, talking to each other have watched it together, and it's called My Octopus Teacher. It's about the quality of animal, right? And it's the quality of animal that's on the one hand instinct, innate purpose, but it's also no purpose. It's just the ability to be in no purpose for the very sake of being, for the very sake of living. So no purpose is when I begin to realize that life is self-validating by itself, that being alive, right? There's a text, there's Mayit onen adam chai. What is there possibly to argue about? Chai, we're alive. Right? I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, right? We're alive. And livingness is so innately delightful and so innately valuable that it requires no other justification. I'm alive. I'm not alive because I'm alive. So when we love each other, right, when we experience pleasure, it's self-validating. But I'm not talking here about the pleasure. There's a pleasure of purpose. I'm talking about the pleasure of no purpose. Right there, as we know, this summer we spend 7-8 days on 6 levels of pleasure and 22 principles of pleasure. Right? That's key to our first principles and first values. Let's take that out of the space now. Let's just go simple right here, right now. The quality of no purpose is now. It's valuable now. I want to give it a name, right? No purpose. Right? The practice of no purpose is nowing. Can we get that in the chat box? Nowing, all right, as a verb. We're nowing, right? Nowing, right? Not knowing, it's nowing. And nowing, when I'm in the now, that's really knowing. That's what it means to know. And knowing in Hebrew is carnal knowledge. Adam knew his wife Eve. It's eros. And eros says it's valid right now. Right? It's not in order to get anywhere. Yes, there's a dimension of purpose. There's a pleasure of purpose, which is gorgeous. Animals have innate purpose and some realm of choice and depth, which is real. And purpose explodes on the human level. And career options and social mobility, right, and transformation explode on the human level. But purpose destroys us if we don't have no purpose. If our animal is not healthy and strong, our humanity collapses. You get that sentence? If our animal, and what's our animal? Our animal is both the innate purpose of cosmos moving through us, but what is that innate purpose of cosmos moving through us? It's love, right? It's the allurement It's the eros of coming together. And why are we coming together? We're coming together to be alive. And evolutionary psychology misses this. It reduces it. It says we're coming together for survival. But all survival is another word for life. All survival is another word for self-love. I want to survive, and I want you to survive because I love you and you love me, and our lives are self-evidently valuable. Like, who can catch that? Who can find that? Right? That's no purpose. That's the glory of no purpose. Now stay with me for a second. The unmediated participation in source, right? The unmediated participation in divinity is the participation in the quality of no purpose. It's for its own sake. When I begin to actually experience that everything I'm doing is for its own sake, it has no purpose. That's the highest purpose, right? And yes, I've got to access this other quality of the human being that sees all of the cascading strategies and the implications and holds this higher purpose and makes evaluations and does a game theoretic dynamic about what's going to actually bring the most good for the most people, right, in the most beautiful way. And we have to engage all of that strategy, and that's all true. And all of us need purpose. Unique self is purposeful. But unique self is also no purpose. So why are we together this week? Why are we together? No purpose. Okay? So now I'm going to bring two pieces together. So the unmediated experience of knowing begins with an experience of no purpose. Touching is good. It's good to touch each other. We want to touch each other. We want to hug each other. Right? We want to, right? Why do people cuddle? I was once going to write a book on cuddling. What is the purpose of cuddling? Anyone know? What's the purpose of cuddling? Right? Cuddling is for its own sake. It's the ultimate lishma. You're not trying to create a baby when you cuddle. Right? We're cuddling for its own sake, for the experience of cuddling. Right? That's the quality of no purpose. And it's when I'm so deep in no purpose, and I can explode into purpose. And my relationship to no purpose is unmediated. It's an unmediated experience. So the core, the first principle or the first value of cosmos is that love is an innate value. No purpose. Goodness is an innate value. No purpose. It's good because it's good. That's what a value means. That's what a first principle is. A first principle both accomplishes a purpose and it's no purpose. It's a value. So goodness, truth, and beauty are values, not because they're instrumental, but because they're values. It's beautiful because it's beautiful. You're beautiful because you're beautiful. You're good because you're good, right? It's not utilitarian, as Jeremy Bentham tried to argue. It's not just, right, for something. It's for its own sake. Wow. Christianity in its shadow forms put an enormous emphasis on getting to heaven. Let's get to heaven. Purpose. But there were moments in Christianity which are much closer to our first principles and first values, where the Cathars, for example, Cathars, the Cathars, they actually had this experience of no purpose, right? We're just here. Right? And I want to see if we can get a transmission, an actual feeling of no purpose. And I think you can get it from our words. Right? Why do I love you? No purpose. So I'm going to ask Christina Tehel, and I want to ask everyone if we can just shut our eyes for like 3 minutes. And we're going to receive a chant from the Cathars, this 12th century Christian small group that was actually massacred by the church. Because the Cathars made two claims. They claimed unmediated relationship to source. And the church said, no, we're mediating it. We're in control. The Cathars said, no, unmediated. And number two, the Cathars said, no purpose, just because. The pure joy of it. And the Cathars, of course, placed eros in the center. The pure joy of touching each other. And touching each other emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, existentially, psychologically, physically, self-validating. So let's see if everyone can just for a second, we're just going to close our eyes for 3 minutes. We're just going to do this meditation and just hear the music. Or you can open your eyes and you can actually watch the screen. There's some words, but the words aren't that important. Okay, let's just access this energy. So take us inside.
Con lobo con lobo planto tutto
listen to this text. It's in the chat box. The objective of the wisdom of the mysteries. At every point along the journey is liberating the power of the soul to the point where it can stand on its own inner strength and drink directly from its source with no need for any mediated training. Does everyone feel that? I'm drinking directly from source. Higher will, direct, unmediated. And it's from that inner self-knowing, right? So feel that together. It's from that inner self-knowing that everything becomes alive. It's this phenomena of the human being awakening to higher instinct, to no purpose, to the self-validating experience of outrageous love that leads the entire cosmos to awareness of itself. And it's from this inner self-knowing that the abundant stream of life is channeled through the merging of mind, purpose, and will, no purpose. That's what this is about. The merging of mind, which is purpose, and will, no purpose. When purpose and no purpose merge and hold each other and dance together, then reality becomes alive, uninterrupted by boundaries or particulars.